Yeah, he's right. That's what I'm looking for. That when you know you're part of the divine, so you say, hey, your kid is here, or it's you. You don't say it's me, or I'm a doctor. God says, come back when you know who you are. So I have all these questions. And I worked at Subway for a while. One of our kids ran a franchise. And that's how I dealt with the people who came in. I'd like a sandwich. Answer a question, make you a sandwich. And I would ask them all the workshop questions. How would you introduce yourself to God? What's the best day of your life? Who's the most important person in your life? I mean, I got like 80 questions. And we'd have therapy over a sandwich. And the only people who ever refused to answer were always psychotherapists. It was amazing. You know, we'd come in and I'd say, if you answer a question, I'll make you a sandwich. They say, I didn't come here to talk. I came here to have a sandwich. I said, are you a therapist? Yes. It was unbelievable. You know, I mean, I can't blame them if they're talking all day and don't want to keep, you know. But everybody else would get into therapy and finish their sandwich and sit there in a booth with 3 or 4 other people and not stop talking, you know. Yeah. It was bad for business because it filled the place. And my son kept telling me, Dad, you got to stop talking. But, you know, it made me realize, and I say, the reason I show myself in a slide, you know, working there when I'm lecturing is to say, if you want to be a therapist, fine, get a job at Subway. Because you have power over people then. You want a sandwich? Okay.
Yeah.
You know, or if you run a bus or an elevator, you want
or
me
a
to,
bar.
Yeah, it just communicate with people. On the other hand, what most people don't like are people.
Yeah.
That's what makes every job awful. People keep showing up. I mean, I've met landscapers who've gone into landscaping to avoid people and then realize they're working for people and they're miserable. So, to me, it's part of why, as you say, I may act loving is I do love people. And this is almost trance-inducing, too, because consciousness is non-local. So I tell people, test this. Go for a walk down the street. See someone coming towards you. Visualize them as a child of God and send that image to them. And watch how they act when they get close to you. Yeah, because I get smiles from total strangers. I mean, they're sensing something. And so, especially as therapists, that when we walk into a room, if we're there to love, and yeah, the people sense that. Well, one more study. People who had a cold, they had a compassionate doctor. They got over their cold a day sooner than people who said, my doctor isn't compassionate. And people who come out and say, the doctor listened to me, respond better to treatment than those who come out of the office and say, the doctor didn't listen. So the compassion is non-local. Yeah, I've had a friend, because I don't know if people heard our dogs whining while I'm talking, but one of our cats disappeared. And we live in the woods. I'm sure it's dead. It's gone for a few weeks. Then I meet Amelia, who's an animal intuitive in California, which I think is nuts, you know, like the imagery. I mean, who talks to animals? Come on. And when the cat disappeared, though, I sent her an email. I said, okay, tell me where the cat is. And even without a photograph, which she would ask of a client, she emailed me one day and said, the cat's alive, I see the moon through its eyes. And she described in total detail the house. I mean, everything in the yard, all the other animals. I mean, it was just blew my mind. And the next morning I went out. Oh, the confusion was that the cat's under the house. I said, that doesn't make any sense to me. But I went out in the yard, because actually this is at our son's house, he's our neighbor. But I keep animals everywhere. And I stand in the yard yelling the cat's name. And all the other animals are standing around me, so I know when I hear, it's Boo Boo, that was her name. And where is she? There's a stairway that comes down from the house with the sides down to the ground. She's under the stairway. That was Amelia's way of saying she's under the house. See, that because I couldn't make sense how could be, but she was under the stairway. And I got some food, got her, pulled her out, and saved her. She was okay. But what blew my mind is that she could sit in Los Angeles and tell me every single thing about this house pine cones, garbage cans, 2 other cats, 2 other dogs. Yeah, so it actually ended up being a part of her book because I said, you cannot deny this is true. And she teaches and trains people. And then I started using it, if you have a moment more, with our animals, because we have a rabbit named Smudge. And I'd go out in the yard. We have a fenced-in yard. See, Smudge would run out through the pet door in the morning, but I could never get her to come back in at night. So I figured, why don't you ask her what the problem is? Because I would go out at night, and she'd run around the yard and drive me crazy for 20 minutes trying to catch her. So I went out one night, and I said, why are you acting like this? And I know I am not coming up with an answer, because when a rabbit says to you, you don't treat the cats this way, I thought, what the hell are you talking about? And she said, you let the cats come and go whenever they want, but you make me come in the evening. I said, I'm not saying anything out loud. It's all coming out of here. I said, I'm worried about you. You're a rabbit. If a predator shows up, you're in big trouble. The cats can handle it. See? From that night on, I never had a problem. That blew my mind, too. You know, that you could talk to a rabbit and you understand each other now. I mean, every once in a while, she would laugh because she'd see me coming and run, but never more than like 3 minutes or 5 minutes. But I knew she's laughing and teasing me. And then, as I mentioned to you earlier, when we weren't recording anything, that I've written a book called Buddy's Candle. And when I was finished with the book, I took our other dog, Furphy is his name, and we're walking down the driveway, and a voice said to me, go to the animal shelter. And I spent a lot of time going there, visiting. So I said to Furphy, come on, we get in the car, I drive down there. I walk in. There's a woman sitting with this dog in her lap. And again, the voice uses me and said, what's his name? I didn't greet I didn't say hello to anybody. It pops out of me as, what's his name? And she said, his name is Buddy. He's been here less than 15 minutes. People didn't like his behavior, so they brought him back. I said, I'm here to take him home. And I did. Now, the first day after I put him in the car, I go to a gas station. I get out of the car, and Buddy leaps out of the car and starts running in the street. People are jamming on their brakes, trying to help me, because he doesn't even know me. You know what I mean? I've had him for 20 minutes. And I finally grabbed him and put him back in the car. I drove home. And then I said, I got to know. So I said to him, why did you act like that? And again, if I were making up a story, you know, I would have come up with something. But he said, I belong to a couple. The husband's an alcoholic. When he'd come home, the wife would say, take, you know, Buddy for a walk. And he would go to the bar and leave me locked in the car. And he would abuse me. And I don't want to get in a car. I said, I would never treat you like that. I'm here to love you and take care of you. I go to the supermarket. I accidentally hit my keys, and the minivan door opened. I didn't even know it. But when I'm done shopping, I come back to the car. The thing has been open for half an hour. Who's sitting in the car? Buddy. Who's missing? Furphy. Now, see, again, why the still water? Because Amelia would always say to me, because I'd start screaming, Furphy, Furphy, where's Furphy? And Amelia, it's always, Bernie, calm down and get in the animal's mind. So I calmed down, I stopped screaming, because I'm worried, where the hell is he? And as soon as I did that, I thought, oh, I know where he is. He's looking for me. So I go back to Stop and Shop, and sure enough, the security guard, is this yours? Yes, he's mine. I've given him treats and kept him in air conditioning. So I took him and brought him back. And I've learned, Furphy would never run away either, because I've been in a cafeteria after giving a lecture where they didn't allow animals. So I went in the back door knowing Furphy would sit there until I came out. I mean, I could go to the post office or bank, he'll sit there. They say, I would never trust Buddy, because, I mean, I don't mean he'd run away from home, but if he sees a squirrel, you know, he'll be back in half an hour. But somebody comes walking through the cafeteria yelling, whose dog is this? I said, it's mine. Why? He said he came in the front door and he's looking for you. So they let him stay.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, he sat under the table and they let him stay. Because they were impressed too that if he figured out how to come all around the building and in the front door, he deserved to stay. But but as I say, what impressed me to hear a story like that. See, if I pick up a stick, I could demonstrate this to you. Buddy will cringe. Now, he's lived with me for years, but he was so abused. It's still, yeah. I pick up a tree branch and throw it away. He backs up because he doesn't know, he knows what he experienced, and it's still a part of him. But that's why I say that the whole aspect of consciousness is never ending. And I think that, part of why I say I'm loving is I know our Creator was intelligent, loving, conscious energy. Because my new religion is called undo. Band-Aid, penny, and ice are the symbols. The Band-Aid, like the scab, you cut yourself, cover it, a week later it's healed. So our Creator loves us. Why a penny? Liberty and in the God we trust. And Abe Lincoln, who never smiles. I always say, if you go into the theater tonight, you never know what's going to happen, so enjoy the day. And ice, see, again, water, such fascination. It defies the laws of physics. You freeze ice, what happens? It floats. Freeze any other liquid and becomes more dense and sinks. So there has to be intelligence behind creation, or we wouldn't be here. And that's the part, as I say, that impresses me, and why I constantly look for these universal themes. Emmett Fox talked about love. I don't know if you know that there's no illness or problem and that love cannot overcome. And I have a little newspaper article I write in our local paper, and I said, fill in the blank. If only you could dash, you'd be the most powerful human being on the earth, in the whole world. And what would you fill in, say? And the answer is, if only you could love enough, it would be the happiest, most powerful being in the world, yeah. And I think that's literally true, that there is nothing that love can't overcome. But how many of us are capable of, of doing that? But again, so you try. You give it a try. And you can imitate people, a Mother Teresa or whatever, and say, what would she do if she were in this situation? And I've also seen it save many lives, literally, when people are being robbed, assaulted, concentration camps, all kinds of things, when they have said, I love you, to guards, to robbers, that they were unable to continue what they were doing. And one minister actually wrote and said that a guy with a ski mask on came up, grabbed her purse, and she said, I know behind the mask is someone I could love. He dropped the purse and ran away. And she said 7 years later, this guy shows up at her church, says, I want to thank you. You changed my life. I'm the man who had the mask on. And what you said changed my life. Yeah. And that's why I always say I'd rather die loving, even even if somebody's killing me, I'd rather say I love you and drive him crazy. Because I've seen this happen in my own life, not when I haven't been threatened, but walked up to people who are mad as hell at me, even for taking a parking space, when they're screaming at you, like road rage, and I say, I love you. They don't know what the hell to do with you. Whereas if I scream back, we'd get into a fight. And I've done this with people who were coming towards me. One man said to me, when I said to a woman, she must have been on drugs or something, I don't even know. She started coming towards me, screaming and yelling. And I said to her, I'm sorry for whatever's happening in your life. I want you to know I love you. And she turned and got in the car and went away. And this guy came up to me, he said, I was about to level her because I didn't know what she was going to do to you. He said, wow, thank you.